Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Seekers of the Supernatural. My name is Tony Spera. I'll be your moderator tonight, as I have in all past shows. Tonight we're going to be speaking about something truly horrific, truly amazing. We're going to be talking about the most haunted location in all of Great Britain. The location I'm speaking about, Borley Rectory. A rectory right outside a small town of Long Melford in England, which was built in 1863 by the Reverend Henry Bull. I've been there. I've visited that location on several occasions. The Warrens, however, Ed and Lorraine, have been there over 24 times. Every single time they've been there, they've been witness to phenomena. It is, in fact, the most haunted location in all of Great Britain. What I'd like to do now is start with Ed and Lorraine and ask about your first experience at Borley.
The first experience for me was phenomenal. It was really phenomenal. It's about the only place, Tony, other than going into a home where poltergeist activity is prominent, that everything happens as soon as you get involved. As soon as you walk in, as soon as you get involved in going into this church and beginning your research, something is bound to happen. Now that first day, I had a very skeptical researcher with me. He was a newspaper man from Danbury, and he was obnoxiously skeptical. But he was keeping a full diary for me, so he was very, very helpful. I worried about what his effect was going to have on this building. So I was in and I was discerning. I was standing down by the altar. I was with a group of people, and I was discerning. When all of a sudden, he came charging in through the back door. And he said, "Something is hitting me. It's hitting me. It's hitting me." And he was absolutely hysterical. He was hysterical. Now, at that point, he said, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe."
Now, Lorraine, was this researcher psychic by any chance?
No,
he wasn't
by no means. Oh, by no.
He had never been in a haunted area.
He had never been to a haunted area, Tony.
Okay.
And the recorders are on because people are recording what I'm discerning. Now later at our hotel in London, he came down to my room and said, "Mrs. Warren, it's going to be impossible for me to write anything about that church that we were in." I said, "Borley?" He said, "Yes." He said, "The tape that you gave me where you were discerning," he said, "you can hear when I come in the room, and I'd like to play it for you." Now when he into the church, now when he walked in and he was yelling like that, a voice, a woman's voice, as he said, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe," said, hit him, almost in a healing way. And you hear her very gentle voice.
Now this is a spirit voice that she's talking about.
Now this was the first day. Now when I was leaving the church, I knew something about the background of it. That's why we were drawn there. I knew that there was a nun that was buried in the walls of the building. I knew her remains had been found and that it was buried at a graveyard very close in Liston churchyard. I knew all about that. So I said, maybe before we go back to London, see, this is about 45 minutes outside of London, as you remember, Tony.
Right.
And I said, maybe we should go to Liston first. It was a bitter cold night. This was in January.
What year was this?
1976. And so we went to Liston, and the photographer who I had with me, he was froze. We were all froze. But something told me to have him get out and snap some pictures. We really got outstanding psychic photographs at Liston. In fact, Tony, in our book, The Demonologist, it tells about that particular day when I went there for the first time, and it shows the psychic photograph where you see a stone that forms a cross, and it's glowing. It's glowing as if you had bright lights on it, and no lights, of course, were on it at all. It's in a very, very rural area.
I have to tell you that this particular house, the most haunted house in England, which was written by Harry Price, he was your very earliest of Ghostbusters, very famous man. That I was in the Navy, I was 17 years old, I picked up a book on a ship, and there it was, the most haunted house in England. Well, since I lived in a haunted house as a boy, I was intrigued. And I said to myself, if ever I come back again to England, I've got to visit that house. And we did. And every year Lorraine and I visit it. And the first time that Lorraine and I went together was the following year.
No, the following May, honey.
So I said,
Yes.
the following year.
Yeah.
1976.
76. Yes, 76, the same year.
And we went with two young women who were clairvoyants. Actually, one was a psychic photographer, the other was a clairvoyant. And I'll never forget that night. We had to get permission to go into the church. So who did I send up? Lorraine. She goes up to the caretakers, and she knocks on the door. I'll never forget it. A woman comes out, and I thought, she's not going to get us in. But then I knew that her Irish charm would do it. All of a sudden, she comes out, she's holding this big key up in her hand.
Great big key like this, Tony.
So I said, okay, we'll come back after 10 o'clock at night.